Thanks for coming to learn about what's new from BookNet on LibraryData. I'm Hannah. I'm the product coordinator for SalesData and LibraryData here at BookNet. It's my pleasure to be here and talk to all of you about what's new this year in the world of LibraryData. For those of you not familiar, LibraryData is a reporting tool that allows libraries, publishers, retailers, and other members of the book industry to access circulation and collections information from libraries across Canada. LibraryData is integrated with SalesData, our existing national sales tracking service. This allows library performance to be examined in context alongside retail sales. All users of this integrated system are able to drive discovery through the production of popular books lists and examine trends by genre, regions, authors, and more. For more information, you can visit booknetcanada.ca. For those of you who are already familiar with LibraryData, welcome back. For this year's Tech Forum presentation, we wanted to do something a little bit different. This year, we'll be focusing on emerging trends in the types of books that Canadians are borrowing from libraries. Are Canadians still interested in books about cooking? Are they turning away from thrillers and romance in favor of chess and gardening? In this presentation, we're going to dig deep into the data to show you the book subjects on the move in Canadian libraries. The first subject that we're going to focus on today is nonfiction books about chess. In 2021, we saw considerable growth in the nonfiction games and activities chess category. The loans of books in this category were fairly flat for the first half of the year, but ended up skyrocketing around July and peaking with the highest loans count in the month of September. Loans of titles in this category grew 177% when comparing 2021 to 2020. The question on many of your minds, I imagine, is what has driven interest in books about chess in particular? BookNet has already done some investigation into this trend on our blog. My colleague Natalie Alarcon wrote a research post in December of 2020 outlining the growth in sales of fiction books about chess, which she tied to the popularity of the television series The Queen's Gambit. The Queen's Gambit tells the story of a young woman whose fantastic chess playing skills end up taking her on various adventures. It brought attention to the not always trendy world of chess. Viewers intrigued by the ancient game took their curiosity beyond the TV show. A representative from the Calgary Chess Club told the CBC that people are showing interest in joining the club and taking chess lessons at rates that they haven't seen in decades. Even before the success of the Queen's Gambit, the pandemic and the need to kill time had slowly been turning people to either play the game or watch people play it. And yes, there are actual chess Twitch streamers, if you're interested in that. Readers are also getting caught up in this trend. According to SalesData, BookNet's national sales tracking service for the Canadian English language trade book market, as well as LibraryData's sister site, sales for books about chess in general are also growing as a result of this new interest in chess. In this chart, you can see the changes to unit sales for a group of randomly chosen books about chess during the 8-week period from the beginning of October to the end of November 2020. The sales climbed continuously over this period, with a sharp incline closely coinciding with the premiere of The Queen's Gambit. But in case you needed further proof, we did some quick searches on Google Trends, and what we found confirms that Canadians are looking to get their chess experience started. This graph illustrates the change to the Google search of terms related to chess from September 3rd to December 3rd of 2020. One of the advantages of tracking both sales data and library data is that we can compare demand for books in a certain category across a wide spectrum of readers. So as hopefully I've shown here, you can see how both buyers and borrowers of books respond to trends in the cultural zeitgeist with the books that they choose to read. The ongoing demand for nonfiction books about chess throughout 2021 also suggests that the trend has outlasted the popularity of The Queen's Gambit. Not only are readers interested in learning more about chess, the top loan titles in this category suggest that they're actually playing it. So these are the top 3 most loaned titles in the nonfiction chess category in 2021. We have 1001 chess exercises for beginners by Franco Massetti and Roberto Messa. Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess by Bobby Fischer and Stuart Margulies. And The Rookie by Stephen Moss. Interestingly, these titles were published in 2012, 1972, and 2016, respectively. This supports the data that we've presented in other research reports and presentations that backlist really lives on in the libraries. And as I mentioned, these titles demonstrate an interest in library patrons learning how to play the game of chess. Possibly inspired by the Queen's Gambit, but also demonstrative of a turn to new hobbies and games throughout the pandemic. If the pandemic didn't have you attempting to make a new recipe, read more books, take up a new hobby like chess, or jump on the Wordle bandwagon, you may have turned to the art of gardening. Our next subject spotlight is also demonstrative of another trend, and that's in garden design. The environment and our climate have been popular topics for a number of years, and 2021 was no exception. While many popular books in the environment category focus on climate change, books on other aspects of our environment, like gardening, have experienced growth and popularity as well. In a ledger poll from midway through 2021, we saw that 76% of Canadians said that the pandemic has given them a greater appreciation for the outdoors. Loans of books in the nonfiction garden design category grew slowly but surely throughout 2021, with the subject really blossoming in October. This makes sense when you consider the annual cycle of gardening. Fall is when people's minds turn to next spring, and they begin planning their garden designs and pre-ordering their bulbs for next year. Loans of garden design books grew 88% when comparing 2021 to 2020. Even more impressive, however, is the growth in holds for these titles. The number of garden design titles on hold in Canadian libraries grew 1,152% when comparing the first quarter of 2021 to the fourth quarter. Talk about a bumper crop. And as with chess, these are the top 3 most loaned titles about garden design in 2021. The first is Cultivating Garden Style by Rochelle Greer, The NONSTOP Garden by Jennifer Benner and Stephen Cohen, and Kitchen Garden Revival by Nicole Burke. Again, we're seeing a mix of backlist and more recent titles, and all with absolutely stunning covers, I'd like to add. The final emerging subject trend for today is also our first fiction category, steampunk. For those of you not familiar, steampunk is a subgenre of science fiction that incorporates retrofuturistic technology and aesthetics inspired by 19th century Victorian industrialism. This genre emerged in the late 20th century with seminal works written by Tim Powers, K.W. Jeter, and James Blaylock. So steampunk is not a new genre of speculative fiction, but it saw tremendous growth in library loans in Canada in 2021. Loans of steampunk titles grew by 114% in 2021 when compared to the previous year. This chart demonstrates the pattern in the rise of loans of steampunk titles, with a slight peak in gradual growth beginning in July and a real spike in loans starting in October. The growth in holds follows a similar pattern, with a steady increase starting in the early summer and continuing throughout the fall. In 2021, libraries responded to this demand for steampunk fiction. When we compare the first and last quarters of 2021, the data shows that libraries increased their copies of titles in the steampunk genre by 31%. I thought this was interesting to share because it's a really excellent example of how libraries respond to demand from their patrons, as demonstrated by the previous slides showing the real sharp increase in holds, and how libraries can adjust to serve the needs of their communities. As with the other 2 subject trends, chess and garden design, we see backlist thriving in the titles most popular among library patrons. First, we have The Bullet Catcher's Daughter by Rod Duncan, published in 2014. The Inexplicables by Cherie Priest from 2010, and Arabella the Trader of Mars by David D. Levine from 2018. The demand for steampunk is not isolated to a single title, nor is it motivated by a hot recent bestseller drawing attention to the genre. It's really spread across a wide variety of titles, and it'll be really interesting to see where this trend goes in 2022. So that is all for our subject spotlight. I hope that was a kind of interesting, quick digest of some of the data trends that we're seeing in library data. If you're interested in receiving curated and relevant information on the library market, we've created The Borrowers, which is a newsletter tailored to library staff and library lovers. This is a monthly, bite-sized newsletter where you can expect to see data about borrower behaviors, public library insights, information about readers in general, updates about BookNet products, and more. And of course, access to the research portal is available through LibraryData, and this gives you up-to-date BookNet research on library trends as we publish our reports. So I have one more piece of news before we go. We're excited to announce that we will soon be able to offer library data to Canadian libraries using the Sierra Integrated Library System. Work is underway to integrate Sierra database reports with library data, and we're looking forward to expanding our service offerings to include more libraries across the country. We expect integration to be completed around summer of 2022, so keep an eye out for an official announcement from us. That's all from me today. Thank you so much for joining us for a subject spotlight into the emerging trends in the Canadian library market in 2021. Like all BookNet products, library data's future development is driven by stakeholder feedback. Please don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any questions or suggestions for us. And if you are a staff member at a public library in Canada, interested in seeing a demo of library data or discussing the sign-up process, you can send an email our way and we'll be in touch. And as a reminder, library data is completely free for all libraries for the first year of subscription, so you can get a chance to try it out and see what reports might be useful for some data-driven decision-making at your library. So I hope you'll enjoy the rest of Tech Forum 2022, and I hope you have a wonderful day.